And our Hangout on air is live for this Responsible Travel Week 2015. I'm Ron Motter, and exploring Ireland in today's Hangout that's live. A quick note to all of our viewers. Questions are welcome through the Q&A app, and anyone is welcome to relay relevant links on our Google event page and our YouTube page, and we'll collect that and promote that through the RT Week 15 hashtag. So without further ado, good afternoon to you in Ireland, Siobhán.
Good afternoon, Ron. Everything is all well in Ireland. So I hope things are well with you. And thanks for organising Responsible Travel Week. It's a great pleasure to be involved in it.
We've been in contact or kind of watching each other for what, about a year or 2 years now?
A year, I think, since we kind of saw what was happening with Responsible Travel Week last year and could see the value of it. And we're involved in networks that support responsible tourism here in Ireland too. And it's great to get perspectives from overseas, you know. So it's great to be involved, you know.
And back at you. We'd love to hear more about Ireland. And I brought a souvenir watch, brought my Ireland mug.
Fantastic.
From my last trip to Ireland.
There's a donkey in the field opposite us, but I'm not sure he'd cooperate with the Google Hangout. Fantastic.
And thank you. This porcelain was purchased 30 years ago, just before my nephew was born. So
yeah.
I think you recall places, in this pre-Google age, kind of this series of snapshots that are mostly disconnected since you don't have a Google map to put them on. But by golly, I can't imagine a greener country in the world. So give us a geography, and where are you exactly?
Well, we're down on the southwest coastline of Ireland, so we're right on the Atlantic. And down at the bottom of County Cork, there are 3 peninsulas that stick out into the sea: the Beara, the Sheep's Head, and the Mizzen Peninsula. So we're the middle one of those. And there are 7 islands around us as well. So we're right out at the very edge of Europe on what's become known as Ireland's Wild Atlantic Way. So right kind of as far from could get nearly, but it's a fantastic place and a very vibrant community, and lots of people choose to come and live here for the beauty of it. And I think that and the pride that local people have means that we take our greenness seriously, not just as something that tourists recognise about Ireland, but as something that we need to into the tourism that we offer too.
Beautiful. Well, name names. I want to hear 3 people that you would recommend visitors meet where you are that are kind of like the ambassadors of your area.
Oh, that's a great question. I have a list of people now who don't want to leave anybody out. But there's a fantastic walking guide called Charlie McCarthy, who is just a repository of knowledge about the Sheep's Head Peninsula. If you go on a walk with Charlie, he knows the story behind every blade of grass, every stone circle, every Bronze Age stone row, and he shares it with great lightness and generosity. He's absolutely fine, and he shows you the benefit of somebody who loves the land and takes pride in being an ambassador for it. So Charlie is just a wonderful person to meet. Jeffa Gill makes Durrus cheese on the Sheep's Head Peninsula. She started making it in a big copper pan on her kitchen stove, and 30 years ago, and since then she's built an international cheese. But you go to her farmyard, and the farmhouse and the farmyard, there's a small dairy there, and she produces cheese that comes from local cows, local herds, creates local employment, provides a place for tourists to visit. And if you go to the local restaurants, you'll find Durrus cheese on the menu. And Jeffa has just been the most fantastic ambassador for us. Oh, there are so many more. David Ross, who runs our Pilgrim Trail. So, but just to say, there's a business here called Manning's Emporium, where Val Manning has been speaking up for great local food and taking the time to spend talking to tourists for years and years. And his niece and her husband are now taking that on and developing tours around history and heritage and food. Great people. I think one of the things people love about West Cork is that people take the time to talk to you. So everybody becomes an ambassador for this place and what's great about it.
Now, if you look at the screen right now, we're sharing this Google map. How far are you from Montervary?
Well, Montevari would be another name for the Sheep's Head Peninsula, an older name for the Sheep's Head Peninsula. So that's right on the spot there. We're down there, and we on either side of us we have Dunmanus Bay and Bantry Bay. So most people would have heard of Bantry Bay and its famous mussels, or Bantry House, which is a fantastic stately home at the head of the bay, or Gugon Barra. They'd be our most famous landmarks, I suppose.
Right now, excuse me, I'm just chuckling that we actually have this Hangout working as well as we have. It's awesome.
That's something of a miracle, given that
oh my goodness. I shout out Barbara and Susan are watching and making some comments on Google Plus and elsewhere, and great to have you aboard. Yeah. We have this thing called a Q&A app that's embedded, so any viewers are able to ask a question, and if you have any specific questions about Ireland and about responsible travel in Europe, please, shout them out. I certainly am not the one to answer, but I'll relay the questions. And again, we have a good conversation going. And again, through this incredible magic of live streaming video, just where nothing is unheard. A quick segue, by the way, Responsible Travel Week is brought to you in part by Chocoluchy, the chocolate worth fighting for, in Oaxaca de Juarez, Mexico. And greetings to our good friend Lucia Diaz at the Friday-Saturday Pachote Market. For me, I'm going to ask you about the specifics of responsible travel and what that means. But I'm so happy that we could talk about the people, because I think Catherine Mack wrote a wonderful entry or blog or a travel feature once talking about the fact that we don't talk about the people. Because for the most part, travel writing has to be evergreen. So we give our list of places to visit. And we rarely mention the people, and if they do, they better be an official tour guide. But we don't talk about the people in the market, or we don't talk about these things because of this constraint we have from the past. If we wrote a guidebook, it wouldn't be published for 2 years. So you couldn't really talk up the individuals that you were unsure of where they would be. But thanks to the social web and having a conversation like this, we can actually give a shout out to proprietors, to artists, to the people, to the politicians, to anyone who's really making a difference. And to me, that's what this is all about. Your thoughts?
I think when people are home from a holiday, it's the people that they talk about as much as anything else, and particularly in Ireland, where I think people find a level of welcome and an openness and that they really appreciate. We are a very close community. I know Catherine Mack has been a fantastic person in promoting us and in promoting responsible travel in Ireland, and knows a lot of the people on the ground here. And I'm sure she'd agree that what makes this place special is that you go walking on the Lighthouse Loop, which is right at the end of the Sheep's Head Peninsula. The chances are that while you're on that walk, you'll meet the man who owns the land, and he'll stop and chat to you, because the development of the Sheep's Head Way walk was something that came out of people wanting to share this place with people, to meet people who would enjoy it as much as they would. And for us, sharing as people with the people who come here is absolutely part of what we're doing in responsible tourism. In the 1990s, the Sheep's Head Way was developed by 100 farmers who came together to share access to their land.
One second. Wait, just 1 second. This is going to be a bear to transcribe, so you just have to slow down.
Sorry, I talked too fast.
Well, again, it's like, you want to thank people. It's not the Oscars. We're not cutting you off after 90 seconds.
Yeah.
But let me just a brief kudos to Catherine Mack, who wrote the Green Ireland Travel Guide, and here's the Sheep's Head Way on there on the tablet. But again, on this side of the Atlantic, this is all very, very new to me. So can you go back exactly where you were? How did this, what was the history of this initiative?
A couple of men sat down in a pub in the 1990s, late one night, talking about how much they loved walking here And Jim Leonard, James Mahoney, there were other people like Charlie McCarthy who got involved, and they talked how wonderful it would be to bring walkers down here to show them what was fantastic about it. It took them a couple of years, but they brought 100 landowners in to help them, and the landowners gave the rights for, they actively agreed to allow walkers to go through their land and to walk the entire coastline of the Sheepshead Peninsula. So now you can set out from Bantry and walk down one coast of the peninsula with Bantry Bay on your right, and you can walk back up it with Dunmanus Bay on your left. And when you do that, there are still about 100 landowners who are making that for you by giving permission for their land to be used, maintaining the walkways. And so the spirit that brought those people together and has kept the Sheepshead Way functioning as a walk for 20 years is phenomenal. It's a really fantastic achievement. It's a national waymarked trail now. It's very, very well known in Europe. I think we get a lot of German walkers and hikers and French walkers and hikers coming here to us. The last time I was down there, I met a Canadian person who was on track to finish her Irish tour and was really enjoying it. But at the heart of that walkway is community collaboration and people wanting to share the land they love with other people. Lots of things have come off that and out of that same spirit. So we now have a Sheepshead Producers Market where food producers have come together with crafters, and they run a market as a group, and you can call in and you can pick up jam made by somebody who's living a mile from a shop, and you can pick up eggs, and on the box it tells you the names of the hens who laid the eggs. So there have been lots of kind of community initiatives that have come out of that spirit that set the walk up 20 years ago. Everything we do really is built on that initial kind of idea about sharing the place with visitors.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we're going to go into a segue of a question that we received from Barbara Tomasella. And she greets you, and she asks, how did the life of local people change in Sheepshead Way as a consequence of the media attention following the Eden Award? Now, I guess we start, what's the Eden Award, and did you have media coverage? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Or you're frozen? I'll get out the hairdryer. Okay, we're not getting your image. So this is the time in the show in which we hope that Siobhán comes back and we have our technical glitch of the day. Okay. Well, folks, I apologize. We're not getting Siobhán right now. We'll see if she's coming back. Well, how disconcerting. This is a great time to tweet about the Hangout. We will be busily transcribing everything that was just said, and good to hear about the efforts there in Ireland. I hear the background noise, but I don't hear our speaker. All right, 1 second. We're going to do. Okay, Siobhán's relogging in. Meanwhile, take you backstage. For anyone who has not registered, you are welcome to register for Responsible Travel Week. And many thanks to the latest people we have coming in. Susan McKyle, Inez Negrao, Linda Francis, Susan McKay, Carla Felstead. Hey, Carla. Met you in Austin. Teresa Hernandez, Paul Ferrugia, Sally Broom. Hey, Sally. And Audron Alahosiote. And Anna Huntington Christa. Hey, Anna. Thanks for the donation. We are conducting the event on Eventbrite, doing the registration because Responsible Travel Week is all over the web. It's on Google+, it's on Facebook. It is, of course, on the Twitter with the hashtag RTWeek15. And I'm just thrilled that you could be watching this. The Hangout is archived here on Google+. And, I'm hoping we get back to our guest. But here is our conference hub. This is the Planeta Wiki. Wiki is, there are many wikis. This one uses Wiki Spaces. And many, many thanks to our editors. We are collaborating together to provide in-depth coverage of places and topics. And again, giving a shout out to the people who really make things so wonderful. But again, if you take a look at click here at agenda or calendar, we take you on a day-to-day review of what we're doing. You see underneath in the right-hand column, elsewhere on the web, it is left blank right now. Please recommend websites we can recommend, and we'll add them to the list. You also have a direct link to the Hangout and to the time it starts. This will be important very much so for tomorrow, when we do our Hangout with Sally Grayson, and as we do other events in the near future. Mother Language Day is February 21st, Open Education Week is March 9th to the 13th, and World Environment Day is June 5th, and yes, we are announcing the dates for Indigenous Peoples Week, that's August 9th to the 15th, and it goes on and on and on.
Hi, Ron, I think I'm back.
Are you back? Yay!
I'm back, sorry about that. Sorry to disappear. Sorry, Barbara had a question for me, I think.
Way back yonder, yes.
Yes, sorry.
Particularly curious, particularly about the local people. You talk about the internationals who are visiting. What's been the impact on the local people? And as a secondary question, she talks about something called an Eden Award. Can you tell us about that?
Well, firstly, we are a European destination of excellence for sustainable tourism. And that involved it by various judges who looked at every aspect of the area, met the community, found out about our special areas of conservation and so on. And I think they were impressed by the seriousness with which people put sustainability at the heart of tourism here. So that's something that we're very proud to have. We got the award in 2009, and it's given us some really great links with other European destinations of excellence in Ireland as well. The Loop Head in Clare, which is a wonderful destination. Cavan Town, which is recognised for its accessibility in terms of disabilities. And I think that those links, as you'll know yourself, with other responsible tourism destinations are incredibly productive and inspiring, and so that's been great. It's also, I think, helped us attract visitors from across Europe. I think when I started working on marketing this area, something that the tourism providers said to me consistently was this. They said, we'd like more of the kinds of tourists we get already, because we do get really fantastically aware, thoughtful, respectful tourists, and those are the tourists we talk to in our marketing. Those are the tourists we want to come here. People who want to maybe come to the West Cork Chamber Music Festival in Bantry, see a fantastic string quartet in Bantry House, then go out for a walk with Tony, on the Sheep's Head, or go on a pilgrim trail, or have a foodie experience, or learn to carve letters in stone. We attract the kinds of international tourists who love to have a great day out here and sit down with us at the end of the day and chat about it. That's what we like, I think.
Well, wait a second. That's all beautiful, but focus on the locals. How are the locals responding to the changes?
Well, to be honest, we don't have very high volume tourism at the moment, and we genuinely attract visitors who aren't kind of stampeding through for 14-night kind of hotel stays. We get people who actually want to come and go for a walk and sit down in the pub and listen to some traditional music and have a pint of Guinness at the end of the night and talk to the locals. I think that's what we've done very successfully for 20 years. I mean, we attract hikers, walkers, people interested in
But again, wait a second. But again, talk about the locals. What have your neighbors been saying? What's their experience? What's their point of view?
Well, I think the local people see tourism as a lifeline in what is a quite economically deprived area. You know, we're very remote. We're an economy that would have depended a lot on farming and fishing in previous years, and people see tourism as a valuable extra income stream. So I think people see tourism as something they want more of, but I think we're all very keen to make sure that we get the kinds of tourism and tourists that aren't going to ruin the way of life we have here. We are inviting, and that invitation for people to share with us is quite a deliberate and I suppose strategic thing, because we want to share the way of life we have here. We don't want it ruined. We want people to come and live the Sheep's Head way with us. We don't want them to kind of upset the balance we have here. I think people are very I think the locals here, you know, when I'm talking to them, as I do all the time, they're very keen to invite tourists here and welcome them. But we're very careful to create the kinds of things that attract responsible tourists. We're not interested in mass tourism, high density tourism and low quality experiences, because what comes out of those low quality experiences is low quality of life for the people who deliver those experiences too. So, for example, I was talking to a B&B owner the other day who runs a very high quality B&B looking out over Dunmanus Bay, wonderful baking, great food, great views, and she said she's actually looking to reduce her number of one-night visitors because they don't get to see enough. They put a lot of pressure on her business. They use a lot of resources, and she'd prefer to invite tourists who come for a longer stay, have a better experience, that she gets a better quality of life too. So there's always a balance, isn't there, in being a community that welcomes tourists. There's a balance to be struck between what you offer and how that affects you. I think people see the value of tourism, but they are very demanding about, in talking to us as a tourism cooperative, about what kinds of people we'd like to bring in and how we want to kind of deal with them and so on. Does that make any sense? I'm not sure if that answers your question.
It does, and then some.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big responsible tourism conference next month in Ireland.
That's right, yes.
You're a speaker at that. Can you tell us what's happening?
Well, the Responsible Tourism Awards are on, and the conference associated with them are on March the 11th in Dublin, and we're very proud to be taking part in that. We went to the first conference organised by James Chilton last March, and it brought together lots of like-minded people from all across the country working on different projects, and it was just fantastically inspiring. We had a really great experience at that. It sent us away with lots of food for thought, and you know, we're really looking forward to talking at that conference. What I'm going to be talking about is how small businesses hook into the big idea of your local area, your destination, and how you can incentivize small businesses to do the right thing in terms of responsible tourism. I think sometimes small businesses, especially in the kind of recession Ireland's been in, find or think of responsible tourism as another hoop to jump through, and I think there are ways of persuading them that actually responsible tourism is the best way forward for them. So I'm going to be talking about that.
Will your presentation be recorded or live streamed?
I don't know actually. I'm hoping some kind of resources that can be shared internationally will come out of that. I'll talk to people about that and let you know.
Beautiful. Are we seeing a lot of events about responsible tourism in the past 30 years, or are we at the beginning stage of exploring that in depth?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there has been a lot of, I mean, certainly in Ireland, a lot of work happens at the local level, at the level of the local committee, the committees, and regional organisations. I think what's happening is that there is a more structured and kind of organised approach nationally happening, and there's a greater willingness and realisation of the measuring what we do, so that we don't just make claims about responsible tourism, but we try and assess what we're doing and whether it's having an effect. One of the things that we've been involved with this year is the development of the Wild Atlantic Way, and the Wild Atlantic Way is a coastal touring route that runs from the north of Ireland, Donegal, all the way down the western seaboard to Kinsale, past us here in Cork. And what's been great is to realise that in our national tourism body, Fáilte Ireland, in the regions down the west coast as well as here, there is a genuine commitment to making sure that we provide tourists with good quality tourism opportunities that aren't going to destroy the community that is, after all, what is going to bring people here. They want to come here, meet great people, see a great environment, and if we develop tourism that doesn't respect that, preserve it, keep it alive, we'll have killed the thing that is drawing people here.
We'll continue. Hopefully we'll be unfreezing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, unfreezing there, yeah.
Excellent. Are you there?
I am there, yes. Yeah.
Good grief.
Very rare instance of me being quiet.
I want to go back to the question on markets. When you talk about a market, are you talking about a physical structure, a store, or are you talking about a conglomeration of different people selling different things?
We have two fantastic markets here. One is Bantry Market, which takes place in the square of Bantry Town at the head of Bantry Bay. And that is one of the oldest markets in Ireland. You can buy everything from locally made sausages and from Gubeen hams, cheeses, biscuits, cakes, there to carpets, chickens, the odd horse. That happens every Friday, and it happens in a bigger way the first Friday of every month. But one of the more recent creations on the Sheep's Head is a market down on the peninsula itself, which was set up out of a community consultation, and that began as a group of crafters and foodies coming together, specifically trying to do community development work, trying to create micro businesses, to create an outlet for foodies and craft producers. Now, it started out using a disused building, and the disused building was a creamery in the last century. The Irish creamery movement in the 20th century brought farmers together and helped them to find markets, and it's very important. But by the late 90s, the Kilcrahan creamery was empty in a disused building. So these market traders went in, they formed a group, a very kind of ethically structured group, and they decided to sell their produce Head Peninsula. And they sell only things that are made or produced on the Sheep's Head Peninsula. As they've got bigger, they've started to think about adding things from across West Cork. But when they add those things to the shop, they have a responsibility matrix. So they assess what they're adding, for how local it is, whether it's organic. They're always being very careful to check that they're being responsible. But what's interesting about that, and I won't go on too long, but what they did was They actually formed a partnership with a local business, and they've redeveloped that creamery. There's now a fantastic local restaurant there, the Old Creamery, bike hire, and the craft and food market. So the market there, the spirit of coming together and working together again, has fostered regeneration in one of the most remote villages in Ireland. It's actually it's apparently officially the smallest village in Ireland. Thanks to the creamery project, it is now a place where there's just lots going on. So it's a great community here, I think, in that way.
All right. Do either of these markets have their own website or own Facebook page?
The Sheep's Head Producers Market does have a Facebook page. Yes, Bantry Market doesn't, but you'll find details of it on our website at livingthesheepsheadway.com.
Okay. And are any of these local businesses on Twitter?
I have been chasing people onto Twitter, and you can find businesses like scolding and pushing and shoving. The businesses like the Pod Park in Dromberg and the Carberry Sailing is on Twitter. Sheep's Head Produce Market is also on Twitter. Yeah. So, and we're on Twitter at Visit Sheep's Head.
Well, any links that you would like me to include in the show notes, just add to the event page. And again, I think 2015 should be the year of talking about Ireland in ways in which we're talking to people who are in Ireland. So it's so good to be hearing these stories. And I'm hoping, really hoping that someone can record or live stream your presentation next month. I got to present at Responsible Tourism 3 in Belize.
Oh, fantastic.
But these are wonderful events, but where are the digital assets? Where's the legacy?
Yes.
And it's not as if everyone isn't going to a conference with their laptop or their tablet anyway.
That's it. Well, certainly the Twitter and Facebook allow us, as a very remote community, really, to work with and gain ideas from people across Ireland and further afield, and that's fantastic. It helps us in lots of ways to gain kind of a bigger presence on the world stage, and that's a fantastic thing there. I think one of my jobs is trying to get some of the small businesses here to realize just how rich those opportunities are, really.
I hear you. I want to do a little quick screen share again, if I can work this magic, and you tell me what we're looking at. See if you can guess. Can you see this page?
I can. Yes, it's our Twitter page. Yes.
So I see.
There are Jenny and Kevin's sheep at the top.
Beautiful. Who are you tweeting? Who are you retweeting?
Well, one of the things that we've been able to do is to aggregate all of the mentions of the Sheep's Head. So, for example, that picture you've just shown there of a person cycling on the Sheep's Head is one that somebody took while out on a Cycle West Cork bike 2 weeks ago on the Sheep's Head Peninsula, a holiday snap that somebody's put up on Twitter. And because we've got our searches set up for mentions of our towns and villages and businesses, we were able to retweet that. It's an absolutely beautiful picture. It's lovely. She's looking down over Bantry Bay, Whiddy Island and Bear Island and the Bear Peninsula. And so we've been able to capture content that other people are creating, and that's wonderful. And we also retweet local businesses. Carberry Sailing, Pod Park at the top of the rock, Pod Park in Dromberg. National Twitter accounts that we work with, so the Wild Atlantic Way again, and the work being done by Falter Ireland. And I think we've built up over the year and a half that we've been on Twitter an audience of people who are interested in what we're doing, and a network. I think we've found a fantastic value in that, really.
Beautiful. Let's go to your website. All right, am I still streaming this picture? Yeah.
Yes, yep.
All right. So tell us the nitty-gritty. Tell us about what are you doing on your website?
We're, I suppose, helping people to understand what's on offer you know, there are a lot of individual businesses, and a lot of them have, well, they all pretty much have their own individual websites now, but it can be difficult for the visitor to realize, you know, to be able to make sense of all of that. So what we've done is provided a kind of a structure which strands what's on offer into things to do, what's on, food, where to stay, and location. We also bring all of the events that are on locally together on our calendar, which is on our what's on page. And that can be anything from a shoemaking workshop. There's a shoemaking workshop on at Bantry House on the 28th of February, where you can go and learn to make handmade slippers with Julian at Shoe University. There's a yoga retreat on next week. There's sailing tours, runs, all kinds of things. By pulling them together, we're helping people to realize that there's lots to do here, and we're also making it easier for people to plan their holiday. One of the things that happens when people look at our map and they see the Sheepshead Peninsula on a map is one of the things they do is panic, because they think there can't be an awful lot going on here because it looks very bare on the map. And it would be easy for a tourist to drive through and think, there's not a lot going on, how can I access it? So our website is very much concentrated on making what's great to do here more accessible to people.
Is there a map on the website?
If you click on location, I haven't clicked on that for a while myself, but if you click on location itself, click on that word location, it should take you through to a Google map. In fact, if I remember rightly, there's a Google map on which businesses are highlighted as well. So if you just scroll down there, you can see quite a lot of our co-op businesses have been persuaded onto Google Maps as well, which has been great for tourists who are trying to find them using Google Maps.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think you can see it. That one second. Here's the map. You should be able to see this larger now. And what a beautiful location page. Perfect.
Good.
Yeah. You know, this
but
is
you can see that when people look at that map, they get a bit intimidated by the fact there aren't major highways, you know, and there aren't major roads, and so they think, if I drive down there, what is going to happen? So the Wild Atlantic Way has actually been fantastic for that. There are now signs along the Irish coastline helping people out to some of the areas they might have been a little wary of going to before. That's been a great assistance to us.
You know, I'm reminded of I did the blue box. Oops. I'm reminded of a story from Baja California. I think it was Mama Rosa, who said, "Bad roads and good people. Good road and all sorts of people."
Well, if bad roads are a guarantee of good people, we're doing fine, I think.
Well done, well played. Oh, that's just fantastic. Well, you know, I think it's important to let people know what they are looking for, what is available. I'm reminded again of the story of the governor who went to this Primo Eco Lodge in Copper Canyon and complained to the owner, you know, there's no television in my room. And the owner said, well, we don't have electricity.
Yes.
And, you know, I tell people, you know, if your goal on a trip is to watch 5 channels of ESPN, then
Yes.
look for that. If
Yes.
you can have a route, you know, if you're going anywhere else, then, you know, you're not watching television, period. You know, instead of watching a movie, you're in your own movie. It's experiential, it's immersion.
Immersion is exactly it, and giving people the chance to immerse themselves in experiences that are going to fill them with joy and give them great memories. I think actually social media is fantastic for allowing us to extend the conversation with our visitors. So we start the conversation long before they come. By the time they come, they've figured out what kind of people they're going to meet, what kind of vibes they're going to get when they get here. And I think we don't want tourists to come who aren't going to like it. You want the kind of tourists who will love your place. You're talking to people who will love it as much as you do. And I think social media is a great opportunity for businesses to start going out there, finding the people who will love meeting them, and start those conversations and bring them in.
You know, I agree so much with what you said, since it echoes things I've been saying for 10 years. and that is the conversation begins long before the trip. And it's a conversation now. It is an opportunity for interaction. So, definitely there are people who, they want to pick up and go. I don't want to know anything about it. I just want to go, and they go. That's fine. But there are other people who really are planning in advance their trip.
Yes.
And often it's not necessarily conscious. It's the person who loves the local market, and all of a sudden sees some friend of a friend's photos on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever about what's on sale this week. And in my mind, there's no better promotion of Cape Town, South Africa than I will mispronounce this, the Oranjezicht weekend market.
Yeah.
In the city of Cape Town, and their photos on Facebook and what they're tweeting. I mean, each one is a postcard. Same thing living in Oaxaca, Mexico, working with the people at the Pachote market, again, where, Lucia of chocolate, sells her wares, or shout out to Tito, who makes the pine needle baskets, and on and on. These are the experiences that people really love. But rarely will you find the market listed with people's names or a directory in any friendly sense. Rarely will you find this on any official tourism portal.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose I had a really interesting chat with a great tourism provider here recently about how much what's secret and what's we love and what makes us love the place we want to share with other people. And we were talking about that delicate balance between sharing it and preserving it for ourselves, between telling people in advance and allowing them to make extra discoveries and have surprises when they get here. I just wonder, is there one of the things that we've found lately is not on the Sheepshead Way, but on the neighbouring peninsula, there is an absolutely wonderful stone circle, the Dromberg Stone Circle, and people go there every day and talk, find out about what it is that's remarkable about it. But when they go to the Dromberg Stone Circle, increasingly they've already read a Wikipedia page on it. They've already found out the facts. And I suppose the fantastic thing about travel is that being there, standing in a place, is something more than the bones of the facts of the place. T.S. Eliot has this great line where he says that to return to know it for the first time, and to have the being in the place for yourself, looking at the view you saw on Pinterest for yourself, it is something that is the essence of what you go home with from your holiday. It's that moment of immersion that is so important. And yes, it's great to share online. Sometimes maybe we hold something back because we want the person to have that extra bit of excitement, that extra discovery when they get there for themselves.
Well, we are all on the learning curve here. We're not sure how to share. I mean, I don't know about you, but I bet you're above 20 years old, and
that's true.
And we remember when the analog film cameras had rolls of film.
Yes.
And we had, you couldn't take a zillion photos. You could take, 12 or 20 photos. And we sort of, I'm thinking about photography a lot, as always.
Mm-hmm.
But, I had an aunt visit who didn't want to take pictures with her iPad. She wanted to take pictures with her camera.
Yes.
And it's like you realize that your iPad now has a better lens than this old camera of yours.
Yes.
But it's like, no, I mean, it's the older generation that continues to think of a computer as a fancy typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
And instead it's this, it's this two-way mirror, if not a funhouse carnival mirror, that really allows a connection between people. And still, it's a mirror. It's a screen. It's a black screen, a black mirror. But when you get to have that 360-degree experience, that immersion, then the question I think that is incumbent upon us now in 2015 and beyond is how we really celebrate these local ambassadors, these the people you meet. And I'll say this and I'll shut up. I'm a big fan of this market in Oaxaca since I saw it created, and I formed friends with 95% of the people there. Didn't dislike the other 5%, but just we just didn't get along that well.
Yeah.
And I would I took more than 1,000 photos with steadfastly with permission of the folks in the market.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful document, a wonderful testament. And these people created their own Facebook page, and they are announcing what they're doing on Fridays and Saturdays in Oaxaca, Mexico. But what I loved when I lived in Oaxaca was being able to walk around with a new person, someone who hadn't been to the market. And I would just say, how much, if you're looking for cheese, we'll go over here. But if you're just looking to hang out, and literally a hangout, then let's walk around the market and I'll introduce you to people. Because one, I get to see the market and these friends of mine in new eyes. Second, the friends in the market who, for the most part, are not English language speakers, can have this other translator. And again, they can experience and get to know the person from Ireland or from South Africa or from Australia. And again, if you have enough time, and I had 10 years, you can really slow down and experience and talk to people about their families and their fields and everything about, our lives in common. If you don't have that time, then what we can do is we'll basically share friends. You take a photo of someone in the market with their permission or their craft and say, go visit this person. I mean, I'm honestly hoping that someone, but just someone, talks to Lucia tomorrow and says, I heard Ron talking about your chocolate. I never knew that you had chocolate, or I didn't know about this chocolate, and it's Valentine's Day. We should make a run for Lucia's chocolate. And there's no question, there are other people who make chocolate. There are other people who make the weavings or the baskets or the ceramics. But here are my friends. Here's my posse. They're not better than your posse, but they're great people. Go say hi to them. And if we can, and I'll bring this back, but that's what I want to see from Ireland. Who's at this market? And if someone doesn't want their photo taken, we say, okay. we respect that wish. But if someone is willing to have their photo taken, and we can get the oldest bread maker, the photo of the oldest bread maker in the city there, wonderful. Let's celebrate.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I've been saying to the businesses I work with all the time is we are ambassadors for each other. We're ambassadors for each other all the time. Every time a tourist says to us, where can I go next? Who should I talk to? We have this fantastic opportunity to kind of celebrate what other people are doing, to drive business to our neighbours, to hold tourists in our area for longer. It's a fantastic thing to do. I think we all do it all the time here. West Cork has been a tourist destination for a very long time, and we might say, oh, you should if you're interested in history, why don't you go to Michael Collins's birthplace down in Clonakilty, or to the Copper Mines Museum in Alleys, and there's fantastic places to go to. I think what you said there was really interesting, is when we have a really good encounter with tourists, we actually see the place, put a new value on it ourselves. We see it anew, and we enhance our own appreciation of the place. And I think that's really important. And we help people to feel good about what they're doing. Like if that person goes to Lucia tomorrow and says, I heard about your chocolate online, then she's going to feel fantastic that her chocolate is world renowned. We must send you some Mella's fudge, by the way, from Bantry. You'd really like that. We can do sweets too.
Oh, we will do a chocolate exchange. Oh. It's true. It's so true. Just thinking about chocolate is like falling in love.
Well, on the sheep's head, there is a stone with a hole in it, and it's called a marriage stone. If you put your hand through the hole in the stone, you are married to whoever grabs your hand on the other side. Or you would have been a long time ago. So, that's your sheep's head destination for Valentine's Day.
Oh!
So be careful who you go walking with as well.
That's the truth.
I'll tweet a picture of it later.
Well, I want to thank you for your time. I think we're about ready to, we will continue our conversation. There's no ending this one. But we'll end the broadcast, webcast version of it. And, oh, thank you so much for just such a wonderful kickstart to the day.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Thanks so much for involving us in this. It's been fantastic.